How are you? Have you had a good off-season?
I don't think there was an off-season.
No such thing as an off-season?
No, not really. You try to get a couple of days here and there, and I went to Venice with the family, I think for 2-3 days, but that's been it, mate.
Yeah.
It's been constant all the time. And to be fair, we've met a lot of players. You've got to do that.
Yeah.
You've got to do that. So yeah, there hasn't really been an off-season, but I'm sure that's the same story up and down the country.
Yeah, sure. I'll take you back 14 months ago. Well,
yeah.
I'm sure it was a much busier time. You come to Bedford Town from Leighton Town.
Yeah.
You come to the Eyrie. You have 0 players.
Yeah. Well,
what is that? One player.
Technically one.
One player.
Who was going to be a coach, but
okay.
so none. Yeah.
Assuming you knew that before you signed, but what did you think at that time? You've got a huge challenge on your hand, assembling a squad that would then go on to get promoted. What were your thoughts at that time, trying to get a squad of 18 plus?
Well, when I come and met John, Gary, Ben, the owners with it, and they'll tell you straight, I wasn't looking to leave Leighton. It wasn't. Right. I never applied for the job.
Yeah.
And John will tell you that I never even thought about that. It was John phoned me and got me in, and to be honest, I come in here, I was probably the only one that didn't say to them we was going to get promoted or anything. Realistically, with the budget they had and what they was paying, somewhere near the playoffs would have been ideal, and that was the story. All of them was saying all season. It just we happened to get a good start to the season, but I wouldn't have left Leighton where it was comfortable, in that way. We just got promoted to come here if the remit had to be promotion. So I made that clear. We all made that clear, to be fair. So then necessarily the pressure of building a squad from nothing didn't need to be built from nothing to get promoted. It was to build from nothing to get in and around the player, somewhere near it, and then go again maybe the following year. Okay. So it didn't feel like that sort of pressure that we had to build from scratch to get promoted. Yeah. Otherwise, it'd have been a crazy thing to do, coming in with no players to get.
I thought that.
It'd have been crazy. Yeah. And I don't mind crazy. I'm used to building from nothing, Probably every club I've been at now has been a rebuild. It does get a bit tiresome. It would be nice to go into a club and have at least 4, 5, 6 lads that are stable. Yeah. It's just not the way it's been for me so far with my career, but it's just something I've got used to.
Yeah. You mentioned the good start there. You went unbeaten until New Year's Day, I think it was.
Unbelievable, yeah.
Incredible start. What's the secret behind gelling a squad so quickly? Players who've never played together before. You started off really well. I think there was 2 or 3 draws out of about 16 wins or whatever it was. What's the secret behind gelling a team so quickly when all players have never played together before?
I think that was the problem. I don't think the team did gel. I think it was just a lot of good individuals that had sort of been thrown together. We didn't really have time for a lot of team nights out and bonding really. And then when we hit the skids a little bit and the weather changed, then obviously the pitch out there was nothing short of a disgrace at times, and it was no one's fault. It was just the way it was. But when that happened, you found out that actually they weren't a good group together. There was splinters everywhere, and by then we was too far in. So it was, but individually great lads, all of them great lads. But it just never gelled, and that's probably why. But in fairness, mate, that's why the squad changed so much. Not the team, it was more the squad. But look, an unbelievable start. But I don't think in that start we was playing particularly well. As it happens, when we hit the skids a little bit, I felt we were playing better at the time, just not getting the results. But at the start of the year, when the pitches were dry and we hit the ground running, and in some ways that was a bit of a target on our back after them. But thankfully we had that great start, because otherwise it could have been nowhere near it. But no, it was. But there's no secret to gelling them. This year we've been a bit more fortunate because we've managed to keep 4 or 5 of the important lads that we wanted to keep on from last year to be part of it. So at least we've got a little bit more of a base to build from. But it's not easy building from scratch, Tom. Anyone that does that, it's a nightmare. Yeah.
So you make the playoff final. That's the target, of course. We have 2,012 fans, I think it was, down here at the Eyrie. A fantastic day for everyone. Coming into the new season, how important is it that as many of those 2,000 fans come week in, week out, as much as they can, to help keep Bedford Town in the division they're in. How important is it for the fans to get behind the players this season?
Well, it's everything. It's the whole reason this club does what it does. That's probably the reason we're getting the 3G pitch out there. You know, it was seeing those crowds that we were getting, and with all the youth we've got at this football club. It's strange because without a 3G pitch, we never see the youth throughout the year because they're always playing on different pitches all over the town. So having this as a home base for the whole of Bedford Town Football Club is vital. It's vital for us going forward. You know, it's a shame because we probably had one of the nicest pitches without the drainage problems. We had the nicest pitch in the area. You know, it was unbelievable. But it's no good if you can only get in the first team on there. You know, and you're trying to got community. So seeing all those youth team lads that was there and all the age groups, 9 all the way through to 17, 18s that was there supporting us, it just hit home that we've got to try and gel that together, you know, and plus obviously you got a little bit of pressure with what's going on next door. You'd be ridiculous not to acknowledge that. It is, you know, and they're doing their community bit as well. So if we turned our back on it, it'd have been ridiculous. So we it's not the total reason. You know, another reason for doing the pitch would have been, I think, to fix the drainage problem we had would have been something north of 100 or 150 grand.
Wow, yeah.
And then you're fixing something that's 30 years old and you know what's going to happen down the line, that's going to go, and other parts of the pitch will start the same problem. So you might as well rip it up and start again, but if you're going to start again, put a fantastic surface down for the whole community. So that's, you know, to get them crowds in, we're going to need them. We're going to need them, mate. And I think everyone, that was a bit of a if you like, a electric shock for everyone seeing the crowds there and seeing what this club can become and should become. Hopefully, that resonates itself next year and we go again with that. But we know it's there.
You mentioned next door. Does that push you as a club to become bigger and better? And do you think now that they're coming hot on your heels, do you think that pushes you, the board, the players? Do you think much about a growing rivalry, or does that push you to be better? Does that play much on in your way of thinking at all? Not
for me and not for the club, because they're on a different path to us. They're trying to get in the Premier League. We're not. We're happy to be in the Southern League, you know, Premier. We're not trying to go down that path. So it's totally different courses. They've got their pressure next door to get way past us and way into the Football League. So we're not trying to be that. We are Bedford Town non-league club. That's us. And we're trying to do the best we can with that. And ours is probably more organic, the way we're doing it, compared to next door. And I think fair play to him next door. I've got nothing but praise. You know, I know Peter as well with it, and me and Peter had plenty of chats before I took the Leighton job, you know, about maybe going next door at some stage. So before then, but look, I don't see what's next door in that way. I don't feel that I just think they're on a different path totally. So it's not. It doesn't really fall into each other. If you're in the same league, it might be, but we're not in the same league this year. So I wish them nothing but success in what they're trying to do. And if they do get into the Football League, that would be fantastic. But I just don't think it affects us at the moment with what we're doing. Bedford Town have got their own support base that they'll never lose, and Royal Bedford will create their own fan base. I think the two can live fine together.
Cool. Yeah. So going back briefly to the playoff final, I listened to your interview on Three Counties on the morning of the game with Andy Collins, I think it was.
Yeah.
Sounded very relaxed for a big day. Is that the Lee Bircham way, relaxed and? Or is it? Do you have your Sir Alex Ferguson moments?
I don't think I have. I just think I am the way I am on the day. The feeling relaxed, because as I said to everyone, it wasn't. There was no pressure to go up. It wasn't. We have to go up. This football club has to go up because we might. You know, as it turns out, we've had a very good off season in terms of what we signed and that. But you know, we could have gone up and it gone straight back down. Listen, that still could happen. You know, but it might have been a season too early for us. But I don't know. With them sort of games, Tom, it is what it's going to be. You can prepare them, and we was in good form I felt supremely confident we was going to win the game, because of the form we was in, and just the atmosphere of the boys. But yeah, I mean, there's no point being all stressed out on the day. What more can you do? It's there. So also because we'd had a real bad, but it's good to have that bad period, because you find out a lot about people.
Sure.
And you find out a lot about the club in general, and you find out who's with you, stick together and that. And we'd gone past that period, so it was good for the whole group of us to get past that. And so the last bit of the season was go and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And we did, to be fair. So yeah, I was pretty relaxed, mate. It wasn't one thing I can't do is put on a show. I understand what happened.
Well, yeah. So step 3 now this season. How is your squad looking for the early days of July? Been a lot of new signings.
Yeah.
Are you pleased? You mentioned you've had a good off season. Are you pleased with who you've brought in so far?
Yeah, I mean we've had to do the work, because we made no secret we'd be budget wise we'd be bottom 3 at best. You cannot ask this club to spend what they're spending on the infrastructure of the club, and the 3G, all the improvements to the ground, everything around the place, and expect on top of that a real huge budget. You can't expect that. That's not fair, because there's no funding or whatever that's gone into that yet. That will come, but there's nothing yet. So we've got to, no doubt, the idea in that is to generate money as well.
Yeah.
So that'll, like I said to you earlier about being organic, that will be right for us. So it's been tough. So with the budget we've got, it's been tough. You speak to, when you've got a not great budget, you have to speak to 20 times more players. And the way I do it face-to-face meetings. So it takes a lot of time.
Yes,
to come to meet everyone, not just on the phone. I'm not a phone person, if you like. It's so me, and to be fair, every single player we ever sign here, me and John do it face-to-face together. It's not just me.
I imagine that gives you a better idea of their character and what they're like in person, and things like that.
It gives them a better idea of me as well.
Yeah, sure.
Because some people are good telephone people, good salesmen on the phone.
Yeah.
But if you sit across the table looking someone in the eyes, you get a better feeling.
Yeah.
So, but we've done that. We've got big things was keeping the boys of last year, that like Carl Menser, Blakey, Carl Connolly, Young Henry, Lewis Green. I don't know who else we had there. I think there was 5, 6 of them that was important.
Yeah.
We've kept them on board, and it allowed us then to bring others in. So when people are coming like, who are you keeping on? We've kept them boys on. And then it's sort of spider legs from there, that you get a good squad. And we signed 2 more players last night that probably the squad don't need, but they're too good of players to not have in the squad. So it's better to have too many players than too many good players and not enough good players. And it'll work its way out. But touch wood, they've worked incredibly hard. They've done a hell of a lot of running the squad. And we look okay. Look, we're only 2 pre-season games in, you can't judge anything from it, but the atmosphere's really good with them, and they're all here to push on as well. They're not, even for if it's not for Bedford Town Football Club, for their own careers, they're pushing on. So touch wood, mate. It looks okay, but we've had to do a hell of a lot of work to get this squad.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, how important is it to have players who have played at this level and above? I mean, Sam Brown, for example, has played at step 2.
Yeah.
How important is it for, how big the jump is it from step 4 to step 3, where you need the players who have played at this level, who actually understand what the level is and how much better it is than step 4?
It's important, mate, because I've never done step 3. I've done 2, but I've never done 3. I've watched a lot of it last year, and I know it's out of the step 3 leagues, it's probably the toughest one out of all of them. Everyone will tell you that there's a lot of good sides in there. There's a lot of money, and there's a lot of good players. So it's nice for us a little bit different this year, because we're the ones chasing teams, not the ones maybe with a target on our back. So it's a little bit different, but getting boys that are experienced, of course it's vital, but it's no good getting experience if you've got no legs, or if your experience is bad experience. That's no good. So bringing Brownie in, massive signing, and he's been brilliant so far. Great experience. We've just signed yesterday Rob Hall as well, MK Dons with Oxford United, best mates with Blakey, so that's how we've got him in. Another lad, Rob Howard, who's played for Southend and Wellington, and they've played good levels as well, which help the younger ones that haven't played the levels. But the one thing for sure is we got a lot of legs in there. So there's a good mix. There's a good mix, Tom. You know, there isn't necessarily massive superstars, if you like, in there. They're good lads. You know, lads like Leon and that I've had now with me a few years and come through. It's and Carl Connolly. They're great. They've got experience higher as well. And even just because they've been lower, but some of the younger ones that have only played step 4 so far have looked really good. So yeah, I think it's important gelling it all together, and you need. I think for the experienced lads, they need the youth sometimes to I don't know, the buzz of the youth kids, and vice versa. It's not just one way. But you can only put something on paper, and it looks all right on paper at the minute.
Yeah. Excellent news story coming out last week about Liam Dawson.
Yes.
He's making a move to Cheltenham Town
Brilliant.
League 2. Also an excellent time for him, making it to the big time. Is there a small part of you that thinks the bittersweet moments, I would love Liam at step 3, or is it all just 100% fatherly pride that Liam's gone on to the big time?
That totally. You know, because he's a great kid, he's a great lad and all, and he was very unselfish with us as well, because you know, he come in as the league top scorer, and at times he had to play wing back the way we were playing, and he did that. Didn't never moan. He also had to sit out a couple of games because he was just a little bit out of form, or he wasn't well and things like that, and he never a problem. Come back in, and the last 7 to 8 games he was brilliant for us. You know, he led the line superbly, and he deserves every little bit he gets, because he's still only 22. He's got a lot of goals. He'll do really well. Liam, he'll do really well. So yeah, there was nothing but total pride for him. You know, he'd done his hard work, I suppose, in before he even come here. You know, with what he'd achieved at Ware. But I think for him coming here, getting promoted, scoring goals again, finishing top scorer, I think it was a bit of a icing on the cake for him, because it just finished that then, because I think he'd lost the last 2 playoff finals before that.
Is that right? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, with Ware. So to finally win one was great for him.
Yeah. Wish him all the best. I mean, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. When you hear about these moves to football league sides from step 4, step 3, it's always good news.
But he's playing as well. He's playing. You've seen their pre-season things. He's playing and scoring goals. So he'll do really well.
Yeah,
he'll do
looking
really
forward
well.
to see how he gets on. Another exit, Alex Collard, gone to St Ives. Any ideas who your new club captain will be?
Yeah, Carl Mentor.
Okay.
Carl Mentor. Yeah, he was wonderful for us last year, and when we got him in, he'd been brilliant. He's really fitted in. The supporters love him. All the boys love him. So it was, it was going to be one of them things anyway that would probably have took its natural course with Carl. But yeah, he's an absolute made for it captain. And then Ryan Blake will be his vice captain as well. So, but you've got a lot of experienced one in there. Leon's been a captain before. Carl Connolly's been captain before. Rob Hall, obviously experienced in the league and stuff like that. So there's a lot of other captains in there. But yeah, he'll be a great captain for this football club, Carl.
Yeah, good. We've talked about the 3G pitch already and all the benefits that it brings.
Yeah.
On the pitch, from a coaching point of view, does the change in playing surface change the way you play, change the way in thinking in bringing personnel in, or are we over-egging it? Is it just people over-egg the difference in playing surface, do you think?
No, I think there's definitely something in it.
Yeah.
You know, if you was... we had, when I was at Burco, we played to the pitch, definitely, because it's a real narrow pitch, not a great surface, and we probably played a little bit more direct, because it's nice and narrow. Yeah. You can play to the strengths, if you like, that way. I think once you then get a big, wide 3G pitch, I think to play that way wouldn't be ideal. If you can try and play another way to utilise the surface, then you'd always try that. But look, it's about winning games of football, Tom, and if what you're doing isn't working, you find another way, whether it's 3G or not. You know, I know a lot of teams that in this league that have 3G pitches that the ball never touches the surface. You know, but they stay in the league. So whatever it takes, we'll do. But you do naturally think it's a 3G pitch, it's lovely, so you've got to try and get the ball down and play.
Yeah, I mean, there are obviously other positives in terms of less abandonments. Obviously, February, March time last year was a bit of a pain in terms of the pitch down here, and it sort of stopped you in your tracks as a team a little bit. Obviously, the less abandonments will be a positive thing.
Yeah, I mean, it could work one way. You could have your star striker injured or whatever at the time, and then all them games you're buying yourself time with it. But it killed us last year. There was, you've only got to look at how we was then when the game started getting called off, and then how we was at that period. It was a nightmare, and we didn't pick up again till, if you like, the pitches dried up and it all started becoming a little bit more frequent. It'll be nice to have that. The teams in our league, you could see that Ware and who was the other one, but Cirencester and that, you could see they had a natural run of games. They didn't have the midweek chaos and all that lot. So it's got to be a plus. It's got to be a big plus. And also for supporters, your Saturday fixtures are your money ones. It's not necessarily a midweek one because you get a great away following. So to have so many Saturdays cancelled, I think we had something like 9. I think something. I'm pulling 9 out of the air. I think something like 9 Saturday games. Not just all here, obviously it was away. But add on top of that, obviously Biggleswade FC ground sharing. So their ones as well. It's a lot of revenue to lose from a football club, and no, they can't sustain that. There's no way.
And from a football point of view, it sounds like the win at Biggleswade Town Easter Monday was the big turning point in terms of last season. Do you agree with that? It gave you a bit of belief that you can actually beat, you're back on winning terms.
Do you know what? And this is where this had nothing to do with the club. We lost to. I think we had 10 men. We lost to AFC Dunstable with 10 men, and then I think the following game we was 2-0 up at Ware and lost 4-2. And very just the way it worked in 2 games. We had a lot of chaos going on, and then you start hearing sort of noises about who's coming in and all that lot. And it was never coming from the club because I had a 2-year deal, and our remit was to get somewhere near the players. It was never getting anywhere near it. So you hear noise from outside, and to be fair, good leadership from the 3 wise men in charge. They put out a statement saying that I was staying for another year, blah 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 blah, and it just seemed to. I didn't want to. I said to them I wasn't sure about it, but it just seemed to halt the noise. It was like, no matter what happens this year, this was our remit, blah 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 blah. And it sort of calmed everyone down, and I don't know whether it took an edge off everyone. Also bringing the lads in from Watford was great because they fit straight in. They had no previous, if you like, scars with it all. They come straight and hit the ground running. And the win at Biggleswade Town, because it was a great performance as well. You could just really see it meant a lot to everyone. And I think we'd lost 3 or 4 lads out the squad or the group that week as well, which it might have looked like blimey the wheels have come off, but instead we ended up getting 3 lads in, including Adam Martin, that worked brilliantly for us. And then that day onwards, we won every game. I think it was the last 7 or 8 games, won them all. So you don't feel like it's a turning point, but obviously it has to. You look at it.
It's funny you mentioned that statement. I think it was around that same time. I do
the day before.
The day before. So it calmed everything down, definitely. You got that sense that it would calm everything down. You've mentioned the club's already at step 3 at this level, bigger budgets, bigger names, if you like. What are the expectations for the coming season? Is it literally survival, or are you looking at something more?
The club can't have any more ambition than that. I'll always say your aspirations of a club should be where your wage budget is. That's where you should be. If you pay the most, you should be in around 1 and 2, 3 maybe. If you pay the bottom, that's where you should be in and around. And the club fully aware that. Do I do it to survive? No, absolutely not. With the lads we've got in here, we want to have a real go. We want to have a real go. Survival is not what we're aiming for, but that's not coming from the club. The club's obviously with what we're supplying as a budget. Theirs is to sustain themselves in this league. 2 different ambitions, totally, but that's healthy.
They've come from a couple of years ago as well. It's obviously before your time, before the whole squad, so it'd be unfair to pin any of that on you guys, but they've probably come from a time where they went through that second half of the season in step 3. It was a bit of a nightmare for them. So they probably think, do you think that's in the back of their mind as well?
Of course it is. It'd be ridiculous not to. You can see that with the supporters as well. It's they don't want that again. They don't want that same, absolute calamity again. So aiming too high sometimes is a bit silly. As a club. But that doesn't mean to say us as the football side of things have that ambition. We got much more than that, and we'd be disappointed if we're not, up there.
Yeah. Thinking of the schedule in non-league football in general, there's a lot of games. Obviously, throughout the winter, there tends to be a lot of abandonments. Got the FA Cup, the FA Trophy, Southern League Cup. Do these competitions, obviously, I think that it's safe saying the league is a priority, but competitions like the FA Cup, what do you make of, how important is the FA Cup specifically to you? We're surrounded by Arsenal 56 and the Posh 2001, things like that.
Yeah.
Would you want to give fans those moments again? Of course. How important is the FA Cup in contrast to the league?
Because there ain't that many no more, Tom. Like last year, I think we was only in the FA Cup and the FA Trophy. I don't think there was any other cups. Oh, the Bedford Town.
Yeah.
So that'd probably be the same this year.
Okay.
There's only 4 things you're in that way, so they're vital. And realistically, if you can get where we come in the FA Cup and where we come into it in the trophy, if you can get 3-4 games in that's a brilliant cup run.
Yeah.
So there ain't that many more games.
Prize money is massive.
Yeah, but there ain't that many more games to add to your season. No. Not really, because you're not in that many cups.
Sure.
So I'd love a great cup run. Everyone would, and people say it hinders your league. It doesn't. It don't. It can only boost you.
Yeah.
A cup run would be nice.
Yeah.
But it's like a lap of the gods, isn't it?
It's true. Depends.
Yeah, depends what joy you get.
Kings League Town, the second qualifying round a couple of years ago.
Well, look at England.
Yeah, that's true.
If you get good draws, you can get all the way nearly, can't you?
That's true. And finally, I just want to touch briefly on the life of a non-league manager. It sounds crazy. You come from, this morning you come down from London for this interview thing, which we appreciate. You're probably going out to training, things like that. End of the season.
I've got my back after this.
There we go. End of the season, perhaps Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. You said the word chaos there. How do you, obviously yourself and all the players have day jobs to fit around and things like that. How do you manage it all? How do you fit it all in?
To be honest, I don't know many, because I'm an electrician by trade, so I'm in manual work. I don't know many other managers that are tradesmen. I don't know. They're all like either PE teachers or run their own coaching schools, or they do, or they even do it part like they don't work or they're retired or whatever. I don't know many that have the chaos of running their own business as well, and having to do manual work. So I'm just used to it. So I'm just used to it. I've just adapted myself. My wife's brilliant, to be fair. Like she gets it. She understands it. I've got 3 kids at home, so I make sure they all look at football as well. And the middle one, he's at Stevenage, so I have to make sure he gets looked after. So none of them miss out on the time with me. The only thing that probably misses out is sleep. I don't get a lot of it, which is incredible, like looking as young as I do.
Not a day over 40, mate.
So it's just part of it. Look, there'll be a time. There'll be a time where a club don't want you, and you'll have loads of spare time on your hands.
You'll miss it.
And you'll miss it. But it is an extension of the school playground. Me and Joyce do make it fun as well.
Yeah.
We do have a laugh. It's not just all serious. And it's something I've always. So as soon as I stopped playing, it was funny though, Tom. It was never something I wanted to be. I never wanted to be a manager. I never looked at ever when I was playing being a manager. It's just something that's evolved, I suppose, from being an old player. And if I'm truthful with myself, and it hurts, I'm probably a far better manager than I ever was a player. And that's not very good for your ego.
I can imagine,
but it is chaos. It is but you give it everything you can where you're in it, and this is probably more. It probably takes up more time than your real life job.
Sure.
Doing the football side of it. But I love it, so got to keep doing it.